All right, hello everyone. We tried one of these earlier today, and it ended up not really working out. So hopefully, the internet is a little bit more on my side. We'll see if this all works out. My name is Peter Klein. Thank you so much for stopping by. Going to be talking Flames against Bruins while playing on. Yes, I know it's the game from last year, but we started something, so gosh darn it, we're going to try to finish it here as we look to wrap up this Flames rebuild before I move on to NHL 24. So we're going to talk about the game. We're going to play some games here. If you are new to this, we're in the midst of the Western Conference Final against the Colorado Avalanche. This is not necessarily overly realistic compared to the rosters that you would have watched in this evening's game. So, hopefully that's enough of a catch-up for you, and let's get right into it on this. And also, what a night for the Calgary Flames. What a showing. Now, I do want to preface all of this by saying I fully understand that the Boston Bruins, they more, I think, lost this game than Calgary won this game. However, the Flames still took advantage of that. Like, Boston was very sloppy coming off of this All-Star break. I think that much is very, very, very clear. That this was not your peak Boston Bruins team by any stretch of the imagination. However, Calgary played exactly how they're, I think, going to be successful going forward, and so I think there are some positive signs from this game. Also, like, Boston's good enough that they could play 85% of their game and kick the shit out of the Flames. So I don't think that from a Flames standpoint you should hang your head or anything like that. I think what we saw from the Flames tonight is how they're going to have to play to be successful. That is the fastest they have looked all season long. That's the best they've looked all season long. But it was a relentless forecheck. It was constantly putting pressure on a Bruins team that, and I think rightfully so, so clearly wasn't overly concerned about any kind of pushback from the Calgary Flames. Like, this was, I think, very obviously a team that took the Calgary Flames a little bit for granted and thought they could kind of ease their way into the schedule post All-Star break. So I think Calgary was kind of like, when you're out there, my experience is more rec basketball than playing rec hockey or anything like that, but it's like, it's a Sunday morning game, and you're just like, you've had a bit of a rough one from the night before. It's like, man, can we just get through this? And there's a pesky guy in a fucking sweatband all over the place, and he's just like in your face, like a full court press, and you're like, hey man, can you fucking not? That kind of felt like the Bruins' attitude the whole game. This entire night, Boston against Calgary was just like, hey, can you all just fuck off for a little bit while we figure out what we're doing? And to Calgary's credit, they did not fuck off. And I think if you are looking for what this team could look like now post Lindholm, with obviously a few more moves to be made, it's going to be, I think, this style of hockey that they're going to want to play. They are going to want to be a little bit relentless. They are going to want to really badger teams and really put a whole lot of pressure on them going forward. So I think that this is, from a Flames standpoint, I think with a good young team that they're trying to build now, this is the style of hockey you're going to want to see from this team, and I think the style of hockey you're going to see from this team going forward. Yes, Toxic, very, very bad night for Team Tank, that is for sure. This one felt like a very obvious one for Team Tank. So it makes up for losing games to Chicago, right? Like, you kind of figured that, like, those were 2 bonus points. Well, now these were 2 points that you just assumed you weren't going to get. So it all evens out for Team Tank. But this is the, like, team retool for me that I thought, where you're gonna let the kids play and see what happens from it. And I think that you can take a lot of positives from this one. And I think the first one is very obviously Kuzmenko, right? Like, he was one of the, like, he was the big piece coming back in the Lindholm trade, and it was a lot of people hoping he would be like Sharon Govich, where this guy didn't necessarily get the fairest of shakes with Vancouver, especially this season, but there's still some talent there. And so let's see if you can take advantage of that. And Calgary was able to take advantage of that here, and he did exactly what you wanted, specifically on the power play. It wasn't necessarily the dominant perfect setup. They're under siege, and now here's a great ripper that scores. It was on the rush, but it was still a great shot. And look, on the rush, this team hasn't been all that great power play wise either. They've had some real issues with zone entries, and they didn't on that particular rush. Now part of that, Coyle is up ice on a rush chance there, but I think that this is a real positive sign from Kuzmenko, that he is going to fit in exactly the way that the Flames need him to. I think specifically on the power play, as my cat makes an appearance here. So I would say for Kuzmenko, 5-on-5, didn't notice him a ton. I thought that line wasn't necessarily the most dominant 5-on-5, but again, Calgary played really well the whole game. This isn't even a critique. It's just I noticed them more on the power play than 5-on-5, but that's what power plays are for. We just kind of forgot about that here in Calgary. So I thought that he was pretty strong. Hi Bailey. The other players that you're watching for from this game, Pelche, I think, is definitely the next one, all due respect to Rooney and Paul. Pelche is the one you really want to see, and I was so excited when... Oh, speak of the devil. Oh, we're into ads. Apologies. All right, we'll pause on the Pelche front for those of you who are watching on the YouTube video a little bit later on. And we'll just talk about this game. Oh, speaking of Pelts! Oh, what a chance. For those of you who aren't watching the ads now, I just want to give a break from all the hockey talk just to make sure that everyone gets all the talking points and all the analysis out of this, and they don't feel like they've missed out on anything too much. Although I get that's the point of the ads and all of that, but like to include everyone on these. How good have we been though this period? Oh, I thought that was the lead right there. Bailey thought it was the lead too. My dog is, once again, for those of you who watched the 8-minute stream this morning, my dog is sitting on the couch one more time, but is trying to sit as far away from the cat up here as possible. They don't super get along. The dog wants to get along. The cat doesn't want to get along. And so the dog, I think now, is a little afraid. And it looks like she's trying to burrow through the couch. Yes, hi Bailey, thank you very much. Oh, Shilly got buried there. I know I said no game talk, but how good was Shillington tonight? Okay, so it looks like the ad is over. So let's get back into the conversation about this game, Flames against the Boston Bruins. I had mentioned before that ad break there that the player that a lot of the focus for me was going to be on was going to be, again, a Pelche, and see how he fit in. And I loved how that fourth line played tonight. They were the exact example of what you want to see from them, with that relentless pressure, with that great forecheck, and just causing problems for the Bruins on zone exits basically all evening. And that was a big part of Calgary's game the whole night, but I thought the fourth line really exemplified it. And Pelche was a big part of that. His energy that he brings is second to none. I think that, we've known that since last season, right? But I think it was a little bit more than that tonight. There was that relentless pressure, but also there was a bit of an offensive threat there as well. And I think that group really fit. They fit really well tonight. Obviously, the Pospisil penalty isn't ideal, but I was excited that we got a couple of looks with Pelche out there with Zari and Kadri. And I think long term, honestly, as much as I've liked Pospisil with that group, I think long term that's Pelche's spot. And I think as it goes on, Pospisil has been great. This is nothing against Pospisil. This is more pro Pelche than anti Pospisil. But as this thing goes along, I would much rather Zari, Kadri, and Pelche, and then Pospisil on a fourth line with Rooney and Dewar, and adding his, like, cannonball, for lack of a better term, adding that along with the skill that he can bring to, excuse me, to a fourth line role. So that's kind of where I see him fitting in, and I thought Pelche looked all right with those guys. Sorry, I didn't want to come back from intermission there. I wanted to, because I see Deeds has been chatting a couple of times, and I don't want to say I've ignored it. I was just, waiting till I can properly read it. So here, Bergeron just put it on. Okay, whatever. The Bruins only had a glimpse of showing up, and then the Flames shut that down. Yeah, they started the third period. Like, you could tell, Montgomery ripped him a new one at the intermission, and rightfully so. They were bad. But you could see, like, they had a jump in the third period, and then they get a goal, or then they get a penalty. Deeds, hush. How dare you? Which is Toxic had some quick ones in there, so I could just, like, glance down, like, oh, yeah, no, for sure, bad night. But no, like, obviously Boston, like, there's the penalty, and then there's another penalty, and then there's a power play goal, and it's, oh boy, this is, like, I was already looking at it like, oh, this absolutely screams of a night that the Flames aren't even going to get a point. Like, 2-0 lead going into the third. Oh, Boston just scored 4 and the game's over. But credit to Calgary, they were able to bounce back. And I mentioned it on Twitter. That was the part of the game that I looked at. I was like, this is exactly what you want from a Flames standpoint. Again, as Toxic brought up, unless your team tank. The game is starting to shift away, or slip away from you. It's 4-on-4. Momentum is firmly on the side of Boston. And you get an all-effort shift from Nazem Kadri and from Jonathan Huberdeau. Perfect. And it ends with a Huberdeau snipe. And again, the dude's got a shot. I don't get why he doesn't use it more, but he has got an absolute laser beam of a shot. And we've seen it a few times now where there's been a couple of snipes where it's like, man, what the hell? Why aren't you using this more? But Kadri, first Huberdeau goes in on the wall. Kadri helps out. They battle up along the left side wall. Kadri kind of wins it, gets it to Huberdeau, who has to win another battle, and then he's one-on-one with a goalie, and just like, it's like in the hockey game where you see the accuracy thing pop up, and it's like, oh yeah, that's where I'm looking to put it. He put it perfectly there, and that just, at that point, the Bruins kind of felt like, all right, this isn't really going to be our night. And then Forbort stumbles, Swayman lets in a bad one, and the game's just over from there. But no, like, the Bruins, like, you talk about, sorry, just one sec. Bellini, come here. Hey, out of there. Sorry. Come here. You talk about the Bruins, like, and like, oh, you want to have a 60-minute effort. The Bruins had a really strong, like, 10-minute effort in this game. It just wasn't, it just wasn't a good night for Boston. You can see, even on that power play that they scored, it was, like, Pastrnak has the puck bounce on him. And then he goes to pass it back to McAvoy, who whiffs on it as well. And then they get it back in the offensive zone, and Pastrnak whiffs on another one. And then the pass down low, it's like, it's a good pass, but it's not exactly where it needs to be, and so they don't get an opportunity out of it. Like, it was little things all night. I mean, it was big things, too. Like, they just played really sloppy. But no, it was not a banner night for the Boston Bruins in this game by any stretch of the imagination. Just a couple other notes here before... I'm not going to wind this thing down. We're playing video games. We're hanging out on a Tuesday night. We got a goal from Mangiapane, and we're leading in Game 5. I do see a couple of other questions on here. I'll get to those in a second. Yeah, Deeds, that Hanifin goal was a softie. All around, like, Forbort kind of stumbles on the face-off circle, and then Hanifin recognizes it, throws the puck on goal. That should not go in. That is a bad goal from Swayman, who doesn't allow a whole lot of those. I think they said on the broadcast he's second in the NHL in save percentage. So, yeah, that's just, it's not a goal he allows all that often. Kind of encapsulated the night from a Boston Bruins standpoint, I guess. Other kind of like note things from this game, it didn't affect them. They scored 4. I'm going to need them to hit the net a little bit more. That part of their game is starting to creak back from last season where they get a number of good looks and, oh, it hit the post. Oh, they missed the net. Mangiapane had a great look, and I don't know if he would have hit a soccer net. And Rasmus Andersson had a pretty good look, too, that he ended up missing the net on. So just a couple of things to tighten up from Calgary. But overall, I know if your team tanked, this isn't the result that you wanted. But at this point, like they are very clearly going to play the kids. We'll see if they win or lose. I don't think they're going to be bad enough to be like a top 5 team. But I think they're going to be in a spot. I think they're going to be a spot where they're going to get a decent player in the draft. But you're going to get a lot of valuable experience for some of the kids going forward. In terms of the goalie, Markstrom was... excuse me. Markstrom wasn't tested a ton, but I thought he was really good. All right. A couple of things here from the... oh, good. My dog found her loudest toy out there. Sorry, I guess a little phlegmy at night. I see the question in the chat here. So, do we hope the Flames get Tej? I would love that so much. I don't know if the Flames are going to be in the exact right ballpark to get him, but yeah, that would be perfect. Like that would be such a cool thing. And it's not just like a nepotism pick or anything like that. I think legitimately this is a player that could help the Calgary Flames. You see, I do get a little wary of people who rise up in their draft year, because sometimes that can end up backfiring a little bit. Where like a contract year in professional sports, where the most important year of your life, now things have turned on for you. But I think there's also a bit of the development there, and he has very clearly developed. So I think that there is a very real possibility. And with that, like, obviously, best case scenario is the Flames somehow get Macklin Celebrini. That seems unlikely. So the realistic best case scenario would, if you could get Tej Ginla, by all means, go for it. I think that's a real cool thing for a number of different levels for this franchise. Kuzmenko trade value going up. Look, I like Kuzmenko. I don't think he just has to be as people were saying, a pump and dump or anything like that. I think this kid really has something, and I get he's a touch expensive and maybe a bit on the older side, but if this is going to be like a realistic 2 to 3 year retool rebuild anyway, he's 27, 28 years old right now, 30, 31. It's not ancient, especially these days in the NHL. So I think he could be a part of things going forward. But yes, if you can get some kind of outrageous thing for him, that would be great. I do think the best bet is that he is he's on trade boards next year. I think assuming they can build up his trade value in a month is a little presumptuous, I would say. Oh, there we go. A little bit of insurance to put this one away.
Once he sees the open player,
what do you think Zari's Calder chances realistically? I do think that there are some pretty good chances that Zari ends up being in. I think he at least gets a trip to Vegas or wherever the awards are. They should be in Vegas. It's the best spot for them. But he at least gets a trip to the NHL awards, and I think he has a realistic chance of. I think he has a realistic chance of being the Rookie of the Year for sure. I think Bedard is like I don't think Chicago has no reason to rush this kid back, right? And so I think Bedard's going to miss enough time that there's going to be at least a few people who are a little hesitant to give that kid Rookie of the Year, even if it was an amazing half of the season. So I think Zari's Rookie of the Year chances are actually pretty good. I think he at least gets nominated, at least. I think this is talking about Kuzmenko. I think he can be a 25-30 goal scorer if with that shot if things fall in place. Oh yeah, 100%. Like you think about the weapons you could have. Yeah, Kuzmenko. Okay, you think about the weapons you could have with Sharon Govich and with Kuzmenko. Like those are two high-level shots that this team hasn't had basically since Jerome Iginla, right? So if you have one on the first, like they have them both together right now, and that's a real good line for Huberdeau. And we've talked about it before on these streams. Huberdeau's not going anywhere. And so regardless of what you think about the tank or a rebuild or retool or whatever, getting Huberdeau going is going to be important for whatever the next stage coming out of that is going to be for this Flames squad. So I think having those guys, if it works well together, I think, yeah, it's a bit of a weapon, and it's at least a little bit interesting. And so I don't think it's necessarily just bump up his trade value, whatever. Now, if they trade him tomorrow off of one good game, if they get the right value for him, then fine. But I'm not like, just get whatever you can for this guy. Oh, it's a 4th-round pick? Cool. Let's send it on out. But if someone comes at you with a really big deal, then I do think you have to at least consider that really big deal. So I do think that there is a lot of interesting conversations to be had about Kuzmenko, but I've liked the player for a long time, and I'm excited to see what he can do on this Calgary Flames team. I'm not sure what my dog's looking at out there, but you're starting to freak me out a little bit, baby girl. You okay? You okay? No. Hey. I think the Flames should wait till next year. He got opportunities here to build up his value. Yeah, 100%. I think like this time next year, if you are going to move him, this time next year is certainly the time to do it. I think that he is going to get a lot of these opportunities. Oh, I didn't want to play this one. I wanted to do the same thing again. Sorry. I think he's going to get a lot of the opportunities that you that he can take advantage of, and I think that is going to. I think that's going to really bump up the trade value for him. So if you are looking to move him, and I'm talking about like how much I like him and stuff like that, the most likely scenario is, yeah, he does end up getting moved out. It's just a matter of like, at what point is it, oh, his trade value has gone up, and at what point is it he's actually valuable to the Calgary Flames and could be a piece of things going forward. And so that's why I don't think you move him at this deadline. I think you let him just figure it out. Just see, you are in no rush with this player. If it was an expiring contract, that'd be one thing, but you have him for another year, and the salary cap's not going to be a problem for this team. So wait it out. I really like the idea of bringing him in. I think it made a lot of sense, and I think it works for Calgary now going forward as well. All right, so for those watching, because I'm going to turn this into a podcast after, for those watching, I decided to play this third period because it looks like we could be getting a trophy ceremony at some point, and I like watching those. By the way, that's a part of video games that I think vastly needs to be improved, is the championship celebrations. Like, I'm not saying everyone plays all 82 or anything like that, but it's kind of a cool thing, winning one. And it feels like kind of an afterthought on some of these games. Like, you go play NHL 06, 05, 04, championship celebration feels like a big damn deal. And maybe I'm just a little disappointed because I want more from current day graphics, but it feels like it's just kind of an afterthought. So let's see what it looks like on this game. I was kind of thinking about it with this stream, because you guys, if you recall, like this is year 2 of this Flames rebuild. Year 1, we actually somehow made the playoffs with Oscar Dansk as our number 1. I wonder, I was thinking about that as the Flames were kicking the shit out of Boston. It's like, this team has blown everything up, and they're trying to make it. They're trying to tank, and now all these guys are stepping in. What the hell? What the hell? This team's supposed to be tanking. And now all of a sudden, you're going out and beating the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference like they owe you money. Like, what the hell is this? So it reminded me of that before. Hello, Big John. Sorry, there are other games in 05 and 06. I thought they only made MVP in Madden in that year. Very good point. Yes, they did somehow manage to squeak out an NHL game in that time. Also, NBA Live 06. Really good. One of the last good NBA Lives. Although you could argue that was one of the last good Madden years as well. And certainly it was the last good baseball video game year. Because MVP Baseball 2005 is, in fact, the greatest, not even just sports game, video game ever made. So a banner year. But by the way, the one thing that game doesn't have a real strong sense of, also, trophy celebration. The pipe dream would be getting a first for Kuzmenko next year. What a dream that Lindholm trade would be. Oh, if you can spiral or just branch off of the Lindholm trade tree with another first-round pick, oh, that would be great. Just keep it rolling, like Kuzmenko for a first and another young prospect who you can throw in and see, oh, maybe this kid can do something. Like Kuzmenko back to Vancouver for a first and Höglander. Just keep that train rolling that way. Oh, breakaway. Oh, I thought we had it. We kind of talked about it before, but I'm not going to put the video up or the stream up or anything like that. I think you have to make a move with Tanev pretty soon, as we're talking about trades and stuff like that. Tanev, I think, has to be the next one. He dives down, blocks a shot on Lindholm in this game, and it's just like, hey man, appreciate the all-out effort. Can we ease up on the gas pedal a little bit? Like we don't got to be redlining the whole time. You can back off a little bit and just, you know, when the Flames trade you, go nuts, block all the Toronto Maple Leaf shots you want. But for right now, can you just get that stick in there a little bit? Just poke it a little bit. So I would say that he should be the next one moved. I've said it for a bit, because I'm just worried he's going to hurt himself because of how hard he constantly plays. And look, that's just him, right? Like, I'm having my jokes. That's 100% why you want that guy, is because he is all effort all the time, and you get 100% of whatever Chris Tanev has, you get it on a nightly basis. And that's why I think he is going to get a pretty penny. Right now it sounds like it's a second and a prospect for Tanev. Do that tomorrow. If there are teams offering that, go nuts. If the Flames are hoping to get a first, bless them. But I think a second and is a real good move there for Tanev. If you can get a first, like, that's awesome. I do wonder if you hold off on it a little bit, and it's that delicate waiting game that all GMs play. But if you hold off a little bit, are you able to squeak a first-round pick out of the negotiations? We'll see. But I do think, yeah, Toxic, I do think they are holding out hope for a first-round pick in there. But I wonder if you go, like, second-round pick and a close-to-NHL-ready prospect. I would have a tough time saying no to that at this point. And then it all comes down to Hanifin. And I just... Like, I know there has been the talk of a contract extension and all of that. Man, there is a horrendous sounding car. I don't think the mic picked it up because I could barely hear it. But I think that took years off my dog's life with how gross and grindy those brakes sounded. Anyway, distraction aside. Oh yeah, now my dog's going to bark at the door. Distraction aside. I know it sounds hypocritical that I'm like, hey, Kuzmenko could turn into something that you want on the Calgary Flames, and he's only 27, and Hanifin's, I think, younger? Yeah, Hanifin is younger than Kuzmenko. So yeah, I think it makes sense, but I just, the return would be huge, and we've talked about it before. You've kind of missed your boat in being able to have a Noah Hanifin. Bellini, hey, come here. It doesn't really line up, especially what you're going to have to pay him and the contract you're going to have to give him going forward. So acknowledge that it's a little hypocritical of me, but I think that it'd be such a big haul. Like, multiple pretty good draft picks. I honestly, I like, the return for Lindholm was huge, and that's probably going to be the best return. But if you could get first good NHL-ready player and a prospect for Hanifin, God, that would just be the best. And like we kind of talked about, they have some young defensemen. They picked up that dude from Vegas whose name I'm still learning. He played fine tonight, by the way. But they, like, with Kuznetsov and Poirier coming back, that's what I'm so interested in. I just feel like now is the time to make that move. Yes, no, Toxic, I know, I saw that when we were talking about Tanev, that holding out for a first for Tanev was definitely the way to go. So here we go. We are celebrating with this Flames rebuild. We've turned them into Western Conference champions and now set up a date with the Buffalo Sabres. Let's see what the celebration is like here as we kind of pause the hockey talk right now. I think I'm going to have to let my dog out at some point, so this will probably be the last game that we play. So if you have any more questions tonight, get them in the chat there. Montreal for 2 firsts for Monahan. One can dream. Yeah, 100%, right? Do I not have a captain on this team? Oh, we're not touching that trophy. No. All right, well, I'm going to hold out hope that the Cup celebration is going to be more, because obviously this is just the conference final one. But that was okay. That was an okay trophy celebration. Okay, I think this is going to be where we call this one tonight. Thank you everyone for popping in. Obviously, I've done some post-game streams before. This one not quite on the level of that one for a few reasons, but can we get a Discord for Talking Hockey and questions for the podcast? I saw the suggestion for a Discord on Twitter. While I appreciate it, I don't, just perfectly candid, I don't believe I personally am on the level of having my own Discord for people, whatever. So just like tweet at me or DM me if you have any questions for podcast stuff, or tweeting at me would probably be the best. Throwing them in here is a whole lot of fun and works out as well. So yes, I really do appreciate it, and I'm sure that me not having one goes against like 145,000 different social media posts about here are the 5 ways you need to grow your Twitch stream in 2024. But I don't feel like I'm on the level yet of having my own Discord channel. So, hopefully one day, for sure. But yeah, tweet at me, DM me, hey, this is for the pod, blah, 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 blah. Or I know I've said this a lot. I do want to do these regularly. So, just pop them in here every now and then. But yeah, that's going to do it. For those of you who are new around here, you can find me on social media at Primetime Klein. I host a podcast called Couch Potato Diary 5 times a week. I know if you look at it now, it doesn't look like that, but 99% of the time, it's 5 days a week with a lot of bonus content on there as well. Yes, Night Big John as well. And thank you to everyone, and I will talk to all of you. Hopefully we do this again tomorrow. Yeah, let's do this again tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody.